Hey, this is Michael Wild. Today I'm going to give you an overview and walkthrough on how to set up Octoblu to control and automate the Belkin Wemo devices. So if you log into Octoblu, there's a set of menus over here, and if we click on them, we've got a few options: Home, Connect, Design, Process, Analyze. We're going to use Connect and Design today. So first of all, if we look over here, this is a replica of my iPhone screen here. So I have a bunch of Belkin devices for closets and backyard lights and other things like that. And some of them are the outlets and other ones are the switches. So today we're going to add one of these here. I think we'll do Lachlan ceiling. So adding devices to be controlled by Octoblu, or adding things. So first, if we go to Octoblu and we click Connect, it's going to show me all the things that I currently have connected to my Octoblu account that their cloud can control. Okay. This little Octoblu icon is called a Gateblu device, and that's really just software that's running on my particular Mac right now. They make it for different platforms and hardware, but its job is to dispatch requests to local devices inside a network. Whereas obviously with Automatic, Facebook, and Nest, those are working with the cloud services as well. So I'm going to go ahead and need to add something here. As we can see, there's already one here for Lachlan's fan, but I'm going to add Lachlan's ceiling. So I'll click Add Node, and I'll just type in Wemo. And even though this is a switch, it looks like a plug, there shouldn't be any reason why I can't use it with the good old switch. So I'll click on that, and it's going to ask me, where do I want it to add? I want to add it to my Gateblu, okay? You can download the Gateblu software, run it on your PC or Mac, and if we were to look at my particular Gateblu running here, as we can see, I've got a bunch of things that are there. And again, this is running locally. Its job is to dispatch requests and things like that. So we're going to add this to Cyan. It's going to go ahead and talk to the Gateblu on my machine. It's going to create a new object over there. And I'll just call this one Lachlan ceiling. Now, just as a sidebar, there's a reason why I have two dashes between here, because I've noticed some little idiosyncrasies with Wemo. Wemo doesn't use like a unique serial number that we address for every particular appliance in a way. It just uses the name. So I found some strange things with Wemo's API that if I have things named the same and there's a space between them, it'll actually pick the first one and activate it. So I needed to make the actual names a bit more unique, which is why you started to see things like dashes in here and some camel case. This is just my experience. Perhaps someday that'll just go away. But so I'm going to give it a friendly name of Lachlan ceiling. We'll click Update. And if we pop over to Gateblu again, we should see Lachlan ceiling on there, and we could turn it off and all of that. The log factory here is pretty good. We can see what's going on. The logs look nice. And there are errors that happen from time to time. Sometimes they matter, sometimes they don't. If there are issues, talk to Octoblu. They're awesome. They helped me get this far. So over here, if we click on this and go to Design, this is the flow editor. I'm going to go ahead and just make a new flow for the purposes of this, and we'll just call this Wemo Setup. We're going to need a few things. First, we're going to need the stuff that we have in our house configured. So we got Lachlan ceiling, Lachlan fan lights. Let's pick Lachlan ceiling. And for this, for Wemo, I actually need to click forward message. And when you see on, this is just a Boolean, false and true. However, the way in which we're going to activate this might seem a little advanced, but it's not. It's pretty easy once you get it going. All right, so we got our fantastic outlet here ready to go, and we need to activate it. And so if we click over here on operator nodes, this little plug icon, click on there, I'm going to need a button or a trigger, so put a trigger there, and we'll call this Lachlan on. I'll put it in debug mode just so that I can see logs. You could probably take it off debug mode when you got things all working, but it's kind of handy. All right. So in some situations, the switch, the trigger, is just enough. But in the case of the Wemo, it's not. And if we jump under the covers just a little bit so you can understand how we arrived at this, I'm going to wire these two up. Click on Lachlan on. That's in debug mode. Click on Lachlan ceiling. Scroll down here. I'm going to put that one in debug mode. And just so you can see what this will do, I'm going to toggle the debug console. I'm going to press play up here or start this flow. And then we'll trigger this guy. Okay. So it triggered it, as we can see, the actual trigger. So Lachlan on, and it sent a message, and its payload was this, which is, in the case of the Belkin Wemo, is ineffective. And if we look at the output from the Wemo, we can see its name is Lachlan Ceiling, the message type was input, and the payload was this. Except the way that Belkin needs to have a message, we actually need to send it to proper JSON syntax so that it understands what we're doing. Okay, this will make sense in a second. So how we do this, let's terminate our connection here. Move this guy over there. And we're going to use another operator node called a function. Click on that. If we get rid of this here and just paste this in here, we're going to say return, and then basically payload, and on is true. So it's just a simple stanza here. And of course, we'll put that in debug mode as well. So now we'll wire these up. On to the function to Lachlan ceiling. We'll press stop, press start. While we're at it, we'll get the debug console going and press play. And if we look at our good friend Wemo over here, we see Lachlan ceiling is on. Not too bad. So just a quick review. We've got one trigger passing really not much to this function. This function job is to set the on to true. Matter of fact, if you look at the Lachlan ceiling and you click edit JSON, there's the actual JSON. Okay. And then what's also critical is you click forward message, so the message actually gets forwarded to the device. All right. Cool. So we've turned this device on. We also need to turn it off. This is a simple way to do this, and we'll give ourselves, we need one more function and one more trigger. This trigger will be Lachlan off. I'll put it in debug mode right now for the heck of it. The payload type really doesn't matter too much here. And we'll put him over here. And we'll go to our other function. We'll copy all this because this is the on function. This is the off function. And guess what we're going to do? On equals true is now on equals false. And I'll put it in debug mode. Okay, so let's wire this up real quick. Here. Take the function, and yes, we can put it to the same side of the outlet. We can reorganize these, make them look a little nicer. And I'll press stop, press play, or start. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and click off. And now look, Lachlan ceiling is off. Awesome. So that was kind of fun. But what would be more awesome is if we did two things at once. And this is really simple in Octoblu, but quite cool because you actually cannot do this with Wemo. You can't, in Wemo's own app, you can't group things together and turn a whole room on or off, which is great. So watch this. All right, we need another device. Go over down here to configure nodes. We're going to grab Lachlan fan lights. Boom, same deal. Forward message. Just close that up. Get rid of my console here. Move Lachlan fan lights over there. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to take the on function, drag it down to here, take the off function, drag it over here. So now we're wired up. Okay. Reset this guy, stop, start, and click on. And boom, look, ceiling fan, lights off and on. Next stop in Awesome Town. So they have an app called Blue. Just download it, install it. I click on it, you log in, and it's going to load all of my flows. And I have some other flows that you can see that I've set up. But this flow right here, Wemo setup, we've got Lachlan on and Lachlan off. So if we click on Lachlan off, and we go back to Wemo, Lachlan's lights are off. Pretty awesome. Double click. Go back to on. It's triggered. You saw it bounce. We go back to Wemo and they're on. Pretty sweet. If you ask me, it wasn't that easy to figure out how to set all this up, but that has to do with some nuances of the way Belkin switches work. And Octoblu is evolving over time. Their people are super helpful and really awesome. And, you know, if we look at one of my other ones in my house, I've been working on the Belkins for a bit. And as we can see, landscape on, off, living lights on, off. That's where those other ones came from. So you can have multiple flows and the Blue app is going to load them all. I really like this. It's quite powerful. And with all the other operator nodes here, I should be able to do scheduling, be able to put more logic in here, and do a lot of great things to make the rules in my world of things respond to how I really want them to be. Awesome Octoblu stuff. Happy Internet of Things.